Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasuranandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yasuranandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Jamunatira Bonachari Jamunatira Bonachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasuranandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasuranandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yeda Vanabari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupada Paramamsa Parivraja Jaya Jashoda Shishi Mahad His Divine Grace Abhaya Charana Ravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Samveda Bhakti Ki Jai Gaura Premanandi, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. So this morning's class will start with fourth canto, fourth chapter. We'll start with text 7 and move forward. That's okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chaimanotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jamudiraya Chila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Javita Prabhu, I thought of something that I'm going to bring up in class. Maybe you could look it up. There's a part in the Bhagavatam where it talks about the residence of anger, the different parts of the body where anger resides. Do you remember where that is? The eyes, the chest, Maybe it's in a purport. I don't know if it's Lord Shiva's given that as anger, but there's a place where, or Kapila Dev speaking about different qualities. Yeah. There's the anger manifests in the body, comes out. Okay, so today's verse. Here comes the cavalry. Here comes Krishna to save the day. srimadbhagavatam. Tamagatam tatra na kaschanadriyad Vimanitam yagyakrito bhayaj janaha Mrite swastriyervai jananinim, Mrite swastriyervai jananim cha saradaha Premashu kantyam parisashvajurmuda Tamagatam tatra na kaschanadriyad Vimanitam yagyakrito bhayajjanaha Vrite swasriyervai jananim cha sarara Aya Premashu kantya parishasvai jurmuda Tamagatam tatra na kaschanadriyad Vamanitam yagyakrito bhayajjanaha Vrite swasirvai jananim cha saddara Premashu kantam parishasvajurmuda Tamagatam tatra na kaschanadriyad Vimanitam yagyakrito bhayajjanaha Vrite swasirvai jananim cha saddara Premasru kantyam pariswasvajurmuda Chant. Tamagadam tatra na kaschanadriyad Vimanitam yagyakrito bhayajjanaha Vrite swasirvai jananim cha sadara Premashu kantyam parisasvajurmuda Amagatam tatra na kaschanadriyad Vinanitam yagyakrito bhayajjanaha Vrite swasirvai janinim cha saddaraha Premarshukatam parishastvajur muda. Nadrana kaschanadriyad. Anidam yagagato vayajjana. Vrite swashivai janinam chasarada. Word for word. Tam, her, sati, agatam. Are you with us? Okay. You're sitting right in front of me. I'm the first to see you go. Okay, okay. Agatam, having arrived. Tatra, there. Na, not. Kaschana, anyone. Adriyat, received. Vimanitam, not receiving respect. Yagyakritaha, of the performer of the sacrifice. Daksha, bayat, from fear. Janaha, person. Rite, except. Swasrihi, her own sisters. Vai, indeed. Jananim, mother. Cha, and. Sa, adaraha, with respect. Prema ashu kantya, whose throats were filled with tears of affection. Parishas vajuhu, embraced. Muda, with glad faces. Translation and purport. When Sati with her followers reached the arena, because all the people assembled were afraid of Daksha, none of them received her well. No one welcomed her but her mother and sisters, who, with tears in their eyes and with glad faces, welcomed her and talked with her very pleasingly. Purport. The mother and sisters of Sati could not follow the others who did not receive Sati very well. Due to natural affection, they immediately embraced her with tears in their eyes and with loving feelings. This shows that women as a class are very soft-hearted. Their natural affection and love cannot be checked by artificial means. That's why they cry a lot. Sometimes. Although the men present were very learned brahmanas and demigods, they were afraid of their superior Daksha, and because they knew that their welcoming Sati would displease him, although in their minds they wanted to receive her, they could not do so. Women are naturally soft-hearted, but men are sometimes very hard-hearted. Here's a jab for the guys. Okay. Oma gyantimarandasya gyananjana salakaya tyaksulunminitam dena taismai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakapadrubhashta kripa sindhu bevacha patidanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. So with your permission, I'll try to say a few words. Thank you, okay. I mean it. So what came to mind in this purport, we'll talk a little bit and then go on to the next purport and maybe the next one. There seems to be a parallel here between in some instances, the story of the Vedic Brahmins in Vrindavan. That when the cowherd boys were very, very hungry, they're out there pasturing. I guess moms didn't give them enough lunch or something. They ate everything. They're very hungry, and they knew that some Brahmins nearby were performing yogic sacrifices, and at a certain point in the ceremony, you get prasad. You know, just like the plates come off, it's prasad. In fact, Prabhu told Rebati Nandan Prabhu, who was a Swami at the time, that actually as soon as you put the plates on the altar, it becomes prasad. Because there's an instance about distributing it very quickly to guests and so on, and Prabhu said, actually, as soon as you touch it, goes on the altar, it's prasadam. Krishna sees it. You know, it's just all prasad. I mean, we have a formality and so on, but still, it all is like that. So there's a certain time it all is prasadam. And they went to the yogic Brahmins, and they spoke very nicely to them and everything, and said, how's about a little prasadam? And they said, get out of here. Get out of here. You know, we're practically, yeah, just like, you know, like that, just like, like that. Very, very proud, very, very puffed up. And they even mentioned, Krishna and Balaram, especially Balaram, Kshatriya family and all that, but still nothing worked. So they went back and told Krishna and Balaram. We went and asked them, and they practically didn't even acknowledge we were in there. Like that, just kind of like brushed us off. Krishna said, well, that's the way of begging, Sometimes people give, sometimes they don't. He said, why don't you go back and ask the women, their wives? Maybe they'll give you some prasadam. So they went back and scooted around the jagya, went to the houses where the women were, knocked on the door, and sure enough, as soon as they mentioned Krishna and Balaram, they just started loading up all kinds of pots and bowls and this and that, and just to take us. And they just ran off to the... Now, of course, that has a lot to do with their devotion, but also very, very soft-hearted, like that, in the sense that when the Vedic Yogic Brahmins heard what had happened, they started condemning themselves. Because it said here, out of fear of Kamsa, they didn't want to, they're afraid if they did anything for Krishna or like that. So, but then they realized their folly. It says here, they realized their folly, and that's the famous verses, the hell with our being Brahmins, the hell with the Jagyas, the hell with all this. But still, they didn't go to Krishna and Balaram because they were afraid. They were afraid, just like it says here, everyone in the assembly except for Sati's mom and sisters, they were afraid of Daksha, so they wouldn't do what was appropriate. That's the point. Out of fear, they would not do what was appropriate. In this way, welcome her, which means actually acknowledging Lord Shiva also as her husband. So how's that? Okay. Next verse. Translation. This is text number 8. Although she was received by her sisters and mother, she did not reply to their words of reception, and although she was offered a seat and presence, she did not accept anything, for her father neither talked with her nor welcomed her by asking about her welfare. Purport. Sati did not accept the greetings offered by her sisters and mother, for she was not at all satisfied by her father's silence. Sati was the youngest child of Daksha, and she knew that she was his pet. What does that mean? Favorite. Okay. But now, because of her association with Lord Shiva, Daksha forgot all his affection for his daughter, and this very much aggrieved her. The material bodily conception is so polluted that even upon slight provocation, all our relationships of love and affection are nullified. Bodily relationships are so transient that even though one is affectionate towards someone in a bodily relationship, a slight provocation terminates this intimacy. So, a few words about this. One thing is, and it goes a little bit more in the next one, throughout the Bhagavatam we have many different instances of this phenomena of relationships gone bad for different reasons. And of course, what's the lesson there? Now we're probably in for a similar lesson ourselves. It's very, very possible, it happens all the time, that even though, what is that, the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. Like that. So we think, oh yes, I'll have a perfect relationship or this or that, but you do something and all of a sudden all hell breaks loose. You're rejected or you reject someone, and we see it all the time, past, present, and future, because as Prabhu says here, that's the nature of the bodily conception is so polluted. In other words, where's the real love? Slight provocation sometimes, even a slight provocation, and then that's it. That's it. Sometimes someone will say, I'm trying to think of an example I know, but sometimes the parents will disown their children because they do something. You're no longer my child. You're no longer my child. Like that. So, in the Bhagavatam, there's a few things I wanted to bring up, and I just thought this particular one, I wanted to read the description because it's very, very graphic. That this person was also the pet son. Prahlad had some brothers, he had a few brothers, but he was the pet son, like that. Hiranyakashipu had invested so much in him in hopes that he would take over and be a great demon, just like his father, just like him, right? He'd just chip off the old block, as they say. You know where that expression comes from? chip off the block. You know what that means? When you're chopping wood, you chop a piece of wood, the chip that comes off the piece of wood is just like the piece of wood. Similarly, like, right, you're chopping, there's this piece of wood, just the same, like that. So anyways, let me read this. Oh boy, my glasses. Okay. So this is the second time around. This is the very end of Hiranyakashipu's reign. So it says here, when Hiranyakashipu understood the entire situation, now, once again, he was so affectionate towards Prahlad. There's like everything to him, just like you'd expect. But now something's happened. So when he understood the entire situation, which means Amarka and, Sunda and Amarka came back and said, your son, because he already got chastised once, they got chastised, Prahlad went back to the school, they thought everything was okay, and then they walk in on a lunch break and find out he's got everyone chanting Hare Krishna, dancing in ecstasy, worshipping Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna. So it was too much. So the teachers dragged him back, said, and explained, we can't, this is what's going on with your boy. Not only is he Krishna conscious, but he's making everyone else Krishna conscious. So that's what it means. He understood the entire situation. He was extremely angry, so much so that his body trembled. Thus he finally decided to kill his son, Prahlad, in one moment. Okay, now I'm going to kill you. Like that. Hiranyakashipu was by nature very cruel, and feeling insulted, he began to hissing like a snake, trampled upon by someone's foot. His son Prahlad was peaceful, mild, and gentle. His senses were under control, and he stood before Hiranyakashipu with folded hands. What's up, Dad? What's the problem? According to Prahlad's age and behavior, this is very important, he was not to be chastised. Just like Prabhupada talks about his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, 4 or 5 years old, he ate a mango and it wasn't offered. And he was lightly rebuked by his father, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Just lightly rebuked, like that. But he made up his mind never to touch mango the rest of his life. He took it so seriously. Just a little rebuke, like that. So that's all, just a little something. But now, yet with staring, crooked eyes, Hiranyakashipu rebuked him with the following harsh words. Can you do that? Can you make staring, crooked eyes? Yeah, something like that, okay. Hiranyakashipu said, O impudent, most unintelligent disruptor of the family, O lowest of mankind, you have violated my power to rule you, and therefore you are an obstinate fool. Today I shall send you to the place of Yamaraj. My son Prahlad, you rascal, you know that when I am angry, all the planets and all the 3 worlds tremble, along with their chief rulers. By whose power has a rascal like you become so impudent that you appear fearless and overstep my power to rule you? And of course, Prahlad answers that question. That's Krishna. And he tells his father that he should control his senses. Dad, you should control your anger. Control your senses. Hiranyakashipu replied, you rascal, you're trying to minimize my value as if you were better than me by at controlling the senses. This is over-intelligent. I can understand, therefore, that you desire to die at my hands, for this kind of nonsensical talk is indulged in by those who are about to die. So anyways, that's Hiranyakashipu. There's an example there. Very, very dear relationship, but all went bad, to the point of trying to kill his own child. Then we have actually Kamsa and Devaki, right? His own sister, right? On the day of the wedding. And they're driving along, and he's driving the chariot back to Vasudev's palace and so on. And the voice in the sky says, oh, what are you doing? You fool. You're the 8th child of your sister will kill you. So he just like slams on the brakes, pulls out his sword, grabs her hair, and like he's going to cut off her head. I not even like to check and see if he had the right frequency, or those voices right, or just like didn't even skip a beat. Affectionate, then all of a sudden he's going to cut off her head. Another example I thought of on the other way around, because these are men who are becoming hard-hearted. Chittaketu, he had the son, Harshashoka, right? And his wives, his co-wives, became so envious they killed him. They killed the child, like that. So where is their affection for the king, for the child? Where is the soft-heartedness? Is that the razor blade? No, is that the razor blade part? Like that. So what's that all about? So the point is saying here that these relationships can be so polluted that, of course, one can be very angry with someone, say the wrong things, disown someone, or examples here, killing. You start plotting how to kill, like that. So I was just reading recently one book about, there's like the history of kings in a little section. A few hundred years ago, different dynasties in India, and little descriptions how eventually someone in the palace turned on the king, the general. A lot of times the sons, princes, or the general, they make some plan with some, and then all of a sudden out on the battlefield, and one big general just walked away with all his soldiers. It's just the king and a little wiped them out, like that. And you have what, Aurangzeb? Did he take the kingdom from Shahjahan? Like that. So he locked him up. Like that. So there's so much intrigue there. Like that. So much for family relationships. Like that. And another interesting one is Sarvabhauma and Amoga. You know that pastime in Chaitanya Charitamrita? I mean, that's kind of interesting. That, Amoga offended Lord Chaitanya. He invited Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and his wife, invited him to lunch, and then Amoga came, who was always envious, and he saw Lord Chaitanya eating so much, and he started criticizing him. Sarvabhauma got up and chased him out with a stick, and he ran away. And then he said, "You're no longer my son-in-law." He told his daughter, "You're no longer married to this man. Just get him out of here." Of course, it may be a little bit different because he offended Lord Chaitanya, but just so upset that just like, get out of here. Like that. So there's some examples there of what Prabhupada is describing in the purport here about these, polluted how material relationships are not pure, and there's slight provocation. So one has to be very, very, very careful like that. And then let's read 9. I have some comments on. Okay. Present in the arena of sacrifice, Sati saw that there were no oblations for her husband, Lord Shiva. Next, she realized that not only had her father failed to invite Lord Shiva, but when he saw Lord Shiva's exalted wife, Daksha did not receive her either. Thus, she became greatly angry, so much so that she looked at her father as if she were going to burn him with her eyes. Does that sound familiar? Did we have something like that before? A few verses previous? How did she look at her husband? Remember that? He also, her eyes. Okay. Purport. By offering oblations in the fire while chanting the Vedic mantra Swaha. Everyone say that. Swaha. Okay, just everyone's awake. One offers respect to all the demigods, great sages, and pitas, including Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu. It is customary that Lord Shiva is one of those who are offered respects, but Sati, while personally present in the arena, saw that the Brahmins did not utter the mantra, offering oblations to Lord Shiva. Namaha Shivaya Swaha. She was not sorry for herself, for she was ready to come to her father's house without being invited, but she wanted to see whether or not her husband was being respected. To see her relatives, her sisters and mother was not so important. Even when she was received by her mother and sisters, she did not care, for she was most concerned that her husband was being insulted in the sacrifice. When she marked the insult, she became greatly angry, and she looked at her father so angrily that Daksha appeared to burn in her vision. So that's 2 times where it shows here that Sati was, her eyes, because of anger or something, being upset, her eyes showed that very much so. So let's start with that. Did you find that in the purport where it said about anger, how it manifests? One of them is the eyes, right? When you get angry, it comes out of the eyes, right? You get angry. Immediately you can see in someone's eyes they're angry with you. I think another one, like you said, is kicking. You get so angry, you kick someone, right? You kick someone, right? So it's manifest in the feet. I think it's a rising of the chest, right? Just think about when you get angry, rising of the chest. Maybe even flailing of the arms, right? You get angry, I'm so angry at you, right? The fist, I think that's one of them. I'm angry at you. You rascal, you didn't make Geewix. I know, right? Not like that, but anyways, you know what I'm saying? So the hand, when the body becomes contaminated by anger, it comes out in different ways. So the heartbeat increases, like that. One's heart starts pounding, and the fist kicking with the feet. The eyes start like that. Just like there's examples of that given. It's like Lord Balaram, especially one pastime, when he went to negotiate with the Kauravas about, Samba and Lakshmana. He kidnapped her, and then they all ganged up and captured him. And they weren't going to kill him, but they just wanted to teach the Yadavas a lesson. So anyways, as soon as they heard news that Samba and Lakshmana were incarcerated, being held in the palace, they all decided, they got angry. So there was a Sudharma meeting house. They had a big meeting. All the Kshatriyas said, let's go fight, let's go fight. They're all about ready to rush out of Dwarka and just annihilate Hastinapur. Then Balaram said, no, let me go first. Duryodhana is my disciple. I have a very good relationship with the Kauravas. Let me see if I can just, talk about this, and we can just avoid bloodshed. Like that. So he goes, and of course they very sweetly welcome him. But Prabhupada says Lord Balaram did not want to waste much time, so he got right to the point. He said, you've kidnapped, Samba and Lakshmana, and all fair. It's okay to kidnap a wife. That Kshatriyas do that, so you should let them go. And then the Kauravas and Duryodhana and everyone, they started speaking about how you Yadavas, you're simply borrowing our insignias. Your ability to call yourself a big royal family and all this and that is simply because of our mercy and our kindness, and you're just pipsqueaks, and you should understand where your power comes from, and don't talk to us like that. You have no right to demand anything from us, blah, 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 blah. And as they were talking, what was happening to Lord Balaram's eyes? Red as cinders. You know what a cinder is? Like you look in a fire, the coals, that's a cinder. That's pretty red hot. So then he started saying, he started all kinds of things about the feet and the head. No, that's what they said. They said the feet on the head or something like that. You're like the feet touching. But anyways, he turned it all around and just told them where they were, what the actual situation was. And then he walked off, and he put his plow on the ground and just started dragging all of his Hastinapur into the Ganga and the Jamuna. So, and they realized immediately what was going on. So what did they do? They ran out of the palaces with Samba and Lakshmana in front. Like, oh, here you go, sorry. But it's quite an amazing description there, how angry he was. His eyes are just burning like cinders, like that. Yes. Yeah, you can get angry like that. Another example is Lord Ram. He got upset at Varuna. He was asking to get across, and no answer came for some time. And his eyes became so red hot. This is just by his eyes and his arrows. The whole ocean was becoming agitated and hot. And all the Timangila fish and all that were all upset. And Varuna finally came and said, I'm sorry. So, some people have that Shakti. When they get angry, everyone runs away like that. So sometimes you got to be careful about anger. The Durvas Muni is such a personality, right? People are very afraid when he gets angry. No one lives with him? Did you find that? Okay, but I think those are the points. Everyone, if you've ever been angry, right? You like kick something. There was one devotee, I won't mention his name. He used to punch a hole in the wall, right? Punch a hole in the wall. Okay, so some people punch a hole in the wall. Like that, so that happens. You punch a hole in the wall. They figure better that than some other devotee. Better punch the wall than the devotee. Gets so angry, So anyway, she is very, very angry. But, boy, okay. The main thing here is her anger was properly directed. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us, Trinadapi Sunichena, when it comes to people offending us, still you should be more tall than a tree, humble than the blade of grass, ready to offer all respects to others, not expecting anything for yourself. But when the Lord or the devotee is offended, then one becomes just like fire. One can become very, very angry. Sometimes they think anger has no place in spiritual life. Now, how do you explain Hanuman or Arjuna? Right? There are examples how anger was used very effectively in the Lord's service. It was directed properly. So anger against those offending the Lord and his devotees is actually quite fine. like that. And it's actually expected, and sometimes it comes up when the Lord or the devotees are offended. What are you supposed to do with the offender? So there's verses there, I guess, in the Manu Samhita that you kill them or cut out their tongue, defeat them, or go away. I think go away is for the Sudras. They can just go away. Brahmins are supposed to defeat them. I don't know about who's cut out their tongue or kill yourself, or maybe Sudras or kill yourself. Oh, okay, that's your last resort. But it's so destructive is the word. It is so destructive for a person's consciousness to hear someone blaspheme the Lord. Therefore, you see Srila Prabhupada, the times he became the most angry were when? Attacked, or the Mayavadi, the impersonalists. Prabhupada would become enraged like that, and but he didn't cut anyone's tongue or like that. He defeated them. He just let out like that, just Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, just relentless. Like that. There's that one story recently, we were reading somewhere. Is that that Gita gathering? I think it was what was that famous one? Swami Chidananda, or one of those famous ones was there also. And Prabhupada just kept speaking, and he didn't have time to talk. So he was all miffed, but Prabhupada just couldn't take it anymore. It was his turn. Because everyone was a Mayavadi. They're at the Bhagavad Gita, Mela, and they're all Mayavadis. So Prabhupada just let it, just let it happen. And then he took up the next person's time, this Swami, And then the Swami and Prabhupada, they're bringing everyone back to the hotel or their Dharmashala or whatever like that. And that Swami was there. He was sitting on one side, Prabhupada was in the middle, and Brahmananda was on the other. Harisari, I think, was on the other side. And the Swami started talking a little Mayavad philosophy and how, indirectly, how he was offended by Prabhupada, that Prabhupada took his time. And Prabhupada's just kind of chanting japa, this and that and the other thing. And then finally he couldn't take anymore. Prabhupada got into it again. Just kind of like, nonsense. So Prabhupada cannot tolerate, one can't tolerate the offenses against the Lord and his devotees. So one has to become just like that, just like fire. And again, if in this day and age, if one can't defeat them, immediately leave the place. And just like in that assembly of the wrestling arena, there's a famous verse where they said, this is a place of adharma, Janardhan, right? Because Krishna and Balaram is not an even match. That was actually right. It wasn't. The Supreme Personality of Godhead fighting with Chanura and Mushtika. But it's these big wrestlers and little boys, little teenage boys. Who matched this? Right? Who did this? And it's like having, I don't know, who's a big wrestler these days? I don't know, Mac the Mauler, something like that. Put him in the ring with Damodar. It's like, they can't, Damodar's running around, being chased around. Help, Krishna. So who matched those? You got to have equal match. The only time I lost a wrestling match in junior high school is it was I busted my collarbone. It was they sometimes do inner weight, different weight groups, heavier and lighter. I was light, he was heavy. Within 20 seconds, he flipped me and popped my collarbone like that. So that's why I don't get too angry with anyone, because it still hurts after all those years. Right here, just pinned me. So anyways, you have to have an even. Yeah, just for something to do. I mean, it wasn't the guy who was 300 pounds. It's just the next group up, like that. So, anyways, it should be. So, anyways, the point is, the wrestling a match, and then the members, many people in the audience were saying, I can't stay here. It's a sin to be present when you see such irreligion. Like that. So, in the same way, what is the greatest irreligion is blasphemy of the Lord and his devotees. So, immediately go, leave the place, go jump in the Ganga, bathe, take a bath. Purify yourself in hopes that will wash away that contamination. Of course, in Kali Yuga, all we hear is criticism and blasphemy against all living entities, the Supreme Lord, devotees, people are very, very critical. Just it's a horrible sound vibration. So the heart is very much contaminated in the age of Kali. So there's more to be said, but we've run out of time. Is there any comments on this particular? There's things to talk about controlling anger. Does anyone have any anger issues here? Sometimes. Do you have any anger issues? And anger management. I think I'd be careful with that. That was Vishwamitra's big problem. Remember, Vishwamitra tried to become a Brahmin. What is that called? He wanted to be the highest level. Anyways, he was a Kshatriya and he wanted to become a big. What was it? What was it called? Brahman Dev or some. Anyways, he kept falling short. When there was Menaka, got in trouble with her, this and that. But his big thing was anger. In fact, that was the last threshold, because after he started, every time he fell down from his practice for some reason, he'd go another 1,000 years. Out on Sankirtan, another 1,000 years, come back, let's see how you're doing. 1,000 years. Okay. So he comes back, and then what is it? Indra tries it again, sends Ramba, and she's pretty hot, Ramba. And Indra himself came, I think, as a parrot, just to watch what was going to happen, And Vishwamitra was ready for it. He could spot a trap. Here I am meditating, and another one of these, upsars comes, just by chance, in front of my vision. So he was going to burn her to ashes, and then he caught himself. He realized, this is the test. I haven't controlled my anger. I've controlled my lust and this and that, but my anger. So he said, whoa. He was able to stop. Just let it go by. And then Lord Brahma Rishi. So there's Brahma Rishi. Because he wanted to be a Brahma Rishi just like Vishwamitra, just like Vashishta. Like that, because they had a falling out. And then when he controlled his anger, that was his big thing. Like that. But he still had a temper even after he became a Brahma Rishi. That's why Dasarath, Vashishta said, you better let Ram go with him. When he was a teenager, they wanted to take Ram and Lakshman to fight the Maricha and everything. He said, better let him go. He's asked for it. Don't turn him down, because he can get angry. He's still a little bit crotchety. A little bit. He could get angry, so just let him go. But anger like that, must be careful. About anger. So yes. Right. Well, you brought that up, the verse in the Bhagavad Gita, right? When one's material desires or karma is unsatisfied, one becomes frustrated and angry, and that's what comes out. So in that particular situation, Savas Baba is saying the brahmachari is dealing with all kinds of material desires, and he's very frustrated, and he got angry and just slammed it down. Because that's if one can't deal with it properly and let it go, or rise to a higher, take shelter of Krishna and rise to a higher consciousness, then one is forced by the modes of material nature. Just like this is an interesting pastime, and I think there is a purport I heard one Swami give, but You know, in the Srivasanga, one time they started the kirtan, and Mahaprabhu was thinking, I don't feel very blissful. I just don't feel very blissful. Maybe there's a non-believer or something in here. So Srivas looked all over the house. No, there's no one here. Okay, let's start the kirtan again. So they started again, and then the devotees started thinking it was them. Maybe we're non-believers, we're not, So he looked again, and what did he find? His mother-in-law hiding behind some baskets somewhere in the kitchen or something. In a basket? She wanted to see. But it says Srivas Thakur grabbed her by the hair and kicked her out the back door. And then came back and said, how you feel now? I said, I feel pretty good. So, sometimes you grab someone, the expression scruff of the neck, I remember once we had many, many years ago, and this is like in the 80s, some crazy guy came in, young guy, he was intoxicated, walked in with his shoes just before the dinner program was going to start. And I said, hey, could you take your shoes off? And he just kept walking. I asked him 3 times. Somehow or other, he was down on the ground, and I was dragging him out the front door by the hair. I don't know what happened, but I just asked him nicely 3 times, and he just got a little crazy with me. And I said, boom, boom, and I just dragged him out the front, dropped him on the front porch. I did. Oh, I could tell you some stories, Prabhu. He just kind of was laughing the whole way. He was so intoxicated. I don't know what it was. Anyways, the point is, someone grabs you and just out. Or just like killing the Gundicha temple. The Gundicha temple, the Bengali Vaishnava was drinking Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya asked Subdamodar, get rid of your Bengali Vaishnava. So he kicked him out of the temple, just grabbed him out. So that happens. So if we don't rise to high modes of material nature, grab us and force you down. There's that song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, just like under the water. Like that. It just forces you down, Prabhupada says. So you got to be careful. Anger just comes, and all of a sudden, then there's all this apologizing and all kinds of stuff like that. So be very, very careful not to let it get the best of us. And to learn how to be peaceful and satisfied, so it doesn't, the chain reaction doesn't happen. So any other questions or comments? So we can end here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.